Not everyone loses love just because they were never loved enough. Some people lose it because they simply couldn't handle receiving a real, complete kind of love. Right now, there are people quietly destroying something truly beautiful. Not because it's broken, but because it feels too unfamiliar. And to a mind that has long been used to chaos, anything unfamiliar feels dangerous and scary. You keep thinking they pushed you away because you did something wrong. That's not true. You simply brought them something they had never learned how to keep. Let's look a little deeper. There's a cycle that keeps repeating almost without change. At first, everything goes smoothly. The connection is strong. There's stability, sincere effort, and real care from both sides. Then suddenly everything shifts. They become distant, cold, and start acting like a stranger in the very relationship they helped build with you. You start asking yourself, what happened? Where did I go wrong? Why did they turn into this? The truth is hard to accept. Nothing changed on your side. Something was triggered on theirs. The first reason is low self-worth. Deep down, some people simply don't believe they deserve real love. They have quietly accepted the idea that they are not good enough, that they will eventually be abandoned, and that good things can't last for them. When you show up with stability and sincerity, instead of bringing peace, it creates a strong inner conflict, because now they have to face a version of themselves that completely contradicts what they have always believed about their own value. Instead of changing how they see themselves, they choose to destroy the relationship. Destroying something real feels much easier than sitting with the fear of losing it one day. The second reason is emotional conditioning that runs deep. Some people have become so used to chaos that they are almost addicted to it. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because it's the environment they understand best. If they grew up with inconsistency, conflict, or emotional instability, their nervous system gets programmed to always expect that same pattern. When they meet a calm, predictable love, they feel empty, suspicious, as if something important is missing. They mistake peace for boredom, and then create problems even when none existed. They pull away, pick fights, and actively create distance. Not because you disappointed them, but because stability doesn't stimulate them at all. The third reason is the fear of getting hurt by opening up fully. Real connection requires exposure. It requires being seen beyond the surface. For someone who has spent years protecting themselves, that level of openness feels like a real threat. Because once you are fully seen, you can also be fully rejected. So they choose to step back. They shut down their emotions, become hard to reach, and create distance before you can get close enough to see who they really are. This is not logic. This is a defense mechanism built over years. The fourth reason is the association they learned from the past. If they have experienced love that came with pain, betrayal, or manipulation, the brain starts linking love with suffering. When a healthy relationship appears, it doesn't register as love. It feels incomplete, not whole. In their mind, love is supposed to hurt, to be difficult, to require endurance. So when you offer calmness and respect, it feels wrong to them. Instead of questioning their own definition of love, they reject the situation. The fifth reason is the need for control. Love brings uncertainty. It brings emotional dependence. It brings the possibility of loss. Some people simply cannot tolerate that. They need to feel in control at all times. Control over their own emotions. Control over the relationship dynamic. Control over how much they care. When they realize they are becoming attached, they pull back right away. They act indifferent, reduce communication, and create space. Not because they stopped caring, but because they started caring too much. And that threatens the sense of control they have always held tightly. The sixth reason is familiarity with the chase. Some people only understand love when they are the ones pursuing it. They feel comfortable when they are trying to win someone's affection, seeking validation, and proving themselves. But when the roles reverse and they become the ones receiving consistent attention and effort, they lose interest because the challenge is gone. They confuse the excitement of the chase with the real substance of connection. So they push you away, not because you are lacking, but because you are available and present. The seventh reason is self-sabotage. This is where things become most destructive. When the relationship starts to feel real, when the connection deepens, And when the possibility of something meaningful becomes clear, fear rises. Thoughts appear. What if this fails? What if I get hurt? What if it doesn't last? Instead of facing those fears, they act on them. They create distance, start conflicts, and slowly dismantle the relationship. Because if it ends by their own actions, the pain feels lighter than being left suddenly. It creates the illusion that they still control the outcome. Understand this clearly. Not everyone who pushes you away is confused about you. Some people are overwhelmed by what you represent. You represent stability in a mind used to instability. You represent clarity in a person used to confusion. You represent growth in someone who feels comfortable staying the same. And growth always feels uncomfortable. So instead of changing, they choose to retreat. This is where most people make a serious mistake. They start over-examining themselves. They reduce their effort. They question their own worth. They think maybe they were too much, cared too deeply, or should have done less. That is completely wrong. You were not too much. You were simply dealing with someone who does not have the capacity to receive what you offer. There is a big difference between the two. Trying to convince someone to accept your presence when they are actively resisting only leads to exhaustion. You cannot build stability with someone who is committed to instability. You cannot create clarity with someone who constantly avoids it. And you cannot force emotional readiness. The right response is not to chase, prove, or negotiate your worth. The right response is to observe their behavior and adjust your position accordingly. If someone keeps creating distance, you do not need to close that distance for them. If someone keeps showing discomfort with genuine connection, you do not need to make it more comfortable. You step back. You let their actions decide the outcome. Because the reality is simple. People do not push away what they are ready to keep. And if they are pushing you away, they are communicating something very clearly, even without saying the words. They are not ready. And readiness is not something you can teach through patience or effort. It is something they have to build themselves. In the end, some people will meet real love and still walk away from it. Not because it lacked value, but because they lacked the inner structure to sustain it. You can be genuine, consistent, and intentional, and still be rejected by someone who is not equipped to handle that level of connection. That is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their limitations. And understanding this difference is what keeps you from losing yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. For those who often ask for book recommendations on this topic, I suggest reading Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. The book clearly explains why people push away those who love them through attachment theory. It breaks down avoidant attachment, people who crave love but feel suffocated by it, so they withdraw. It shows why someone can like you more when you keep distance, but lose interest when you are consistent. And it reveals how childhood and past relationships shape the way people respond to love. The comment of the day belongs to Joan Jackson. I needed this. Thank you. I appreciate you. Glad I could help.